Okay. Shalom. Okay, good. So here we go. So we had a question. We're doing some Q&A here. So we had a question about living in the land of Israel. Very important about questions. Firstly, let's just put out a couple of things. Number one, right. Number one is that the rabbis teach in Ethics of the Fathers, Pirkei Avot, it says that a Baishan Lomid, that the Baishan, the shy person, doesn't learn. That's right. So don't be shy. And if you need help not being shy, so this is what the alcoholic beverages are here for. Just, go for it and share what you need to share and put out there. We're all friends here. Everybody. Okay, it's just me and you and the world. Okay, so I was asked here about the concept of the land of Israel, which is actually a good discussion, right? Well, not necessarily the spirituality of the land of Israel wasn't asked, but the question I was asked really is about what level of obligation, if I understood correctly, or a mitzvah is the concept of living in the land of Israel. So there's two ideas. We see that there's two rabbis who go through a list of mitzvot. What is technically a mitzvah? What is technically a commandment? We see that the Rambam does not list it. However, in accordance with his rules, it wouldn't fall under the category of what a mitzvah is, because something that's bigger, it's like not something specific. It's like something that's much more all-inclusive. So, but the Rambam talks about it. But basically, the Rambam does mention that there is an idea for a Jew to live in the land of Israel. Essentially, the Jew in the land of Israel is the same concept, right? We have to understand that Kabbalistically, that the world is created in three dimensions, if you will. What's called in Hebrew Olam, Shana, and Nefesh. Okay, Olam means world, but that means space, right? And Shana is year, which means really time for our purposes. And Nefesh is being, like a person, like an entity. You have, in terms of space, you have the Holy Land, right? In terms of time, you have Shabbat. In terms of space, you have that Holy Land. And in terms of the people, you have the concept of what's called Am Yisrael, the Jewish people. Now, what's the goal of all of those three? The same, which is to get everything to its purpose, to get everything to its goal, right? To elevate everything. For example, the word in Hebrew for a Jew is Yehudi. That's right. But what's for the Jewish nation is called? Yisrael, right? Am Yisrael. Yisrael. Okay, Yisrael means what?
Minister of Hashem.
Sar El. But what's Yashar El?
Straight.
Yashar means straight. El means God. So the idea of the Jewish people is to be a conduit to connect and elevate the mundane to spirituality, something holy, and bring down holiness and spirituality into the mundane. Meaning to say that really, according to Judaism, every nation has a role to play, every nation has something to contribute, but the idea of the Jewish people is that Jewish people's contribution is essentially the spiritual, or really even to be the conduit, the connection to the spiritual, right? Similarly, and that's the concept of also the Holy Land. So what the Jewish people are in terms of the nation, Am Yisrael in terms of the nation. So Eretz Yisrael, the land of Israel, is the same concept just in terms of Eretz, in terms of lands. Right? That the concept of the Holy Land is to be a bridge in terms of the physical space. Right? Just like you even see in the physical world, every place has its own climate, has things that it's conducive for. Right? It's like imagine you had an orange seed, right? And you could go ahead and you could plant it in Miami, and you do the proper plowing and the proper seeding and the proper watering, and so you're going to get a beautiful tree, right? Imagine take that seed though, and you fly over to Michigan, right? Who just said they're from Michigan? Who was it? Right? Michigan, right? Or New York or whatever, and you plant this. You do the same plowing, same seeding, etc., same watering. and you plant that over there, could you grow an orange tree there? Yeah, you could grow an orange tree there. But if you really want to grow it to its fullest fruition, probably you want to take that flight back down to Florida, right? Why? What's the difference between Florida and New York, or Florida and Michigan?
It's more flexible.
It's the climate of the place. The climate of the place is more conducive to growing orange trees. Now, on the other hand, if your goal is to grow a potato, better go to Idaho, right? And so the thing is, just like we have climates in terms of the world, in terms of locations, in terms of land,
I think
right?
you use apples and oranges, not a potato.
Great. I don't know, where do you grow apples?
Up north.
You do. You grow. I know in Canada you do. In Ontario they grow apples. Most people don't know that. Usually people will just fill in the blank. If I want to do Idaho, everyone says potato.
Florida apples are pretty expensive.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So you're right. I just didn't know. I didn't think most people knew that in Ontario, because I've gone apple picking in Ontario in the drive between Toronto and Montreal. But most people I didn't think would be able to fill in the blanks so clearly. But you're right. You're right. Okay. But anyway, so the point is that just like we have this physically, there are different climates. So this is a parallel, perhaps, of the spiritual concept. That similarly, spiritually, same story. That there's climates. That if you want, that there are different areas, I guess, that are more conducive to certain things. And so, if you want, so I could take that Jewish. I could take, so the land of meaning. Of course, just like you could plant an orange seed in most places and get some level of an orange seed. It's okay. Same thing spiritually as well. But if I want to go to a place that's conducive for that connection, that could conducive for bringing things to its spiritual purpose. So what we say in Jewish tradition is that this is the concept of the land of Israel, right? And meaning also, and by the way, why is the land of Israel considered to be the Holy Land, or in particular, why is especially this area, right near the Kotel, the Western Wall, and all that, the place where the temple was and will be? Why? Right, there's a picture of it actually right there on the wall. So why do we say this is the holiest spot? Because in Jewish tradition, there's something called the Even Shtia, which means the foundational stone. There's an idea in Jewish tradition. I don't know if it's supposed to be taken physically, literally or not. But the bottom line is that there's a concept that God creates like the first physical matter or whatever, and then extrapolates the world from that physical initial first point. Okay, so that means to say that physical initial first point essentially is the quote-unquote connection between the physical and the spiritual. Yeah, what's up, dude? What do you say? There are other beliefs out there, belief systems, religions, whatever out there, who want to say that, like, okay, the path to spirituality is just, avoid everything, right? We're not saying that. We're saying that there's a concept of separation, but the deeper separation is when you can be totally within the thing, but not engrossed by the thing, right? So that's that you're able to, on the one hand, if you on the one hand you could be super. Say again?
Double watching you.
Oh, great! How do I look? Share me. Click the share button. Live from Jerusalem. Okay. So anyway, so this is the story of. So this is the concept of. This is the concept of actually. Really, this is the concept of holiness. So he said there's the Holy Land, the holy people, right? Shabbat, Kodesh, the Holy Shabbat. The concept of holiness is to be able to be. Sometimes they translate holiness as separation. Other times, other people translate holiness as like elevation. So which one is it? So it's an aspect of both. The two sides of the same coin, right? It's the idea that you can be you're separate from you're separate from the mundaneness of the world. Like you're not taken by it. On the other hand, so you're totally beyond it, but you're so beyond it that you can actually be within it, yet not limited to it. Within it, yet beyond it. Right? And so it's kind of like, this is like the Jewish, you find this in a lot of topics. Like the Jewish ideal is somehow to be managed to be like, to have a leg in both. To have a leg in both. Sorry?
To be like worldly and supernatural as well.
I'm not sure what you mean by supernatural. I'm like picturing like Superman flying or something. I'm not sure what you mean. It's like a ghost or something. I'm not sure what you mean by supernatural, but yeah, above the natural. I mean to say like Look, we believe in Judaism, free choice. What does free choice mean? It means that you might be pulled to do one thing. Your instinct is to do one thing. Your emotion, your conditioning, all that stuff. Your nature, your nurture is to go in one direction. The Jewish idea is no, but we have that, just like animals have that. We have that. We have the animal side of ourselves, yes, but we can extract ourselves from that and choose in another direction, and that's something that's beyond. That's living miraculously, right? You have a physical nature. But you can extract yourself from that, and you have it, but it doesn't own you. So you're living in it. So again, that's real freedom, right? And that's the beginning of the path of spirituality. A lot of times, again, in the Western world, Southern America and things like this, they think like spirituality is like the picture of the spiritual person is like someone's at the top of a mountain, and they're wearing some kind of like flowy skirt or something. And the wind blows, and it's just like wherever the wind goes, I'm just going to float away with it. It seems like the beginning of spirituality, according to Judaism, is actually very, very different. It's the ability that, yes, I have a certain side of me that's going to blow away with the wind, right? Or go with wherever my winds will take me. But we got animals for that. Animals could do that. They go by their emotional instincts and their physical instincts. With the person, the unique gift of humanhood is the fact that, yes, I have that side of myself, but I could extract myself, I could go ahead and pull myself back and choose consciously and be conscious and, mind over matter and all that stuff to choose in another direction, right? And so then, there is an aspect of this whole thing of going for whatever, but that's when you become so conscious and so aligned with yourself that now you're flowing with the spiritual side of yourself, right? That's when we would up to that kind of definition, not when a person's starting out, right? There's a word we have for God in the Torah. One of the ways God's referred to in the Torah is Hatzur, the rock, right? It doesn't sound very flowy. Right? I mean, to say there's certain principles here, there's certain clarity, there's a certain vision, there's a certain direction, following it up with a passion, right? Cool. What's up?
So how you say it's better to live in, not better, but more spiritual and everything to live in Israel. I've heard people say that if you live somewhere else and you're that spiritual, it's even better because it's harder to do it. And I've heard the opposite, and I've heard what you say. I kind of agree with what you say, but
so there is a principle that you're saying in theory, but the question is, will it play out in practice? Meaning to say, let me explain what I mean. There is the Rambam, Maimonides, relationships, right? That there's a principle in relationships that a relationship is only as strong as the effort that you go ahead and put into it, right? That will determine the level of the relationship depends on the effort you put into it, right? So, for example, right? That's, by the way, why you see that everyone, when they want to define how much they love, how much love they have for another person, they'll use examples. In order to express how they feel, they use examples of all these different terrible things that they would go through for the other person's love, right? I want to say how much I love you. I die for you, walk the while for you. And now it's I'll take a bullet in my brain for you, right? I'll catch a grenade for you, right? Okay? So what is it? Right? You're trying to express how much love you have for a person, and it's I'll cross the ocean for you, and I would walk 500 miles, and I'd walk 500 more, and all of these different ways of how we can, what would I do in order to get, right? So why? Because that's expression of where my love is at. And so based on such a principle, the Talmud explains that a person who is, that in a place where what he calls in the place where a Baal Teshuvah stands, a tzaddik doesn't stand. Let me explain those words. In a place where basically saying that a person who has been distant, let's say a person has been distant from Judaism, or a person who's been who's messed up from Judaism, whatever, and then they come back to become keeping more with Judaism. So there, if you see that person and another person who never messed up, and they've just doing what they're supposed to be doing, So the person who messed up and then came back is at a higher place or a stronger connection with God than the other person. Right? Why? You tell me why.
Because it's harder.
Because it's harder, he worked harder for it. Right? It's like, exactly, right. So the example I like to give is like, imagine, right, 1,000%. Imagine you have two Jews walking down the street, right? And one of them has always lived Jewish observance, right? Always kept kosher, okay? The other one hadn't kept kosher, but then he got more into the whole Jewish thing, and he learned about kosher, whatever, and he decided, you know what, I'm going to keep kosher now. And that was about 3 weeks ago. And the two of them were walking by, and they walked by Red Lobster. And Red Lobster, you know what they like to do? They put the fumes onto the sidewalk, you know, or outside of the store in order to try to get you to go. Right? So the two of them are walking by. They both smell the fumes, right? The guy who's always kept kosher, let's say he's never tasted lobster in his life, and all he wants, his closest thing he knows of lobster is when he sees on TV them selling lobster, and it looks like a cockroach, a big red cockroach, right? He's not interested. The other one starts salivating, right? He's like, oh, lobster, right? And then he keeps going, right? So you tell me who made the bigger choice, who made the bigger exertion, who made the bigger move towards God, Judaism, whatever, in that moment. They're both, on the outside, they're both doing the same thing, but on the inside, let's be it, right? Who's making more of a move? Right. So the Baal Tshuva, right? The one who messed up, the one previously had been eating non-kosher and now chose to keep kosher. So Maimonides says that a person might think, based on all the principles we just laid out, a person might think, like, so hold on a second, let me go mess up, or let me go do against Judaism, God, Torah, whatever. And I'll do that for a year, 2 years, 5 years, or whatever it is, and then I'll come back from there, I'll turn it around, I'll come back to observant lifestyle, I'll come back to keeping the Torah and the mitzvot, I'll be in an even closer place in terms of my relationship with God and Judaism and Torah and all those things, than if I would never go off at all, if I would just stay keeping what I'm supposed to be doing. So you hear, what?
Is that inauthentic then, if someone has that?
Intent?
Yeah.
So Maimonides says that a person might think that, but then he says, but you're not supposed to do that, because he says, Shema, maybe you won't come back. Maybe you won't come back. Meaning to say that theoretically, there's a point. You might be right. But the bottom line is you think you're going to be able to pull it off right now, but you're where you are right now. This is called having a religious evil inclination, right? Most people think the evil inclination is like, I don't know, to do so, whatever, I don't know, do some scantily clad young lady or something and go off to some, adultery or something. This is a religious evil inclination. It says, I'm so religious, I'm going to be more religious than God. God said, do the right thing, I'm going to do the wrong thing and then do the right thing and be even more religious than God. God's got a religious evil inclination, right? Let's just get all the right intents in the world. Bottom line is, Maimonides says, number one, don't do it. That's the most important thing. But also, if you want to go a little bit more into the philosophical background behind it, seems to be saying that there might be a theory to be able to say such a thing. But bottom line is, you might be in a place right now where you could say that. But after you go ahead and dip into taste the other side, who knows if you're going to come back, right? It's like, imagine, I'll give you another example. Imagine you have a couple that they heard about this inspirational speaker who's coming to town, right? And they say they want to go see him. So this couple, they leave their kid with the babysitter, they go out to see this speaker, right? And this guy, he's up there and he's doing amazing and he's inspiring and he's motivating and he's doing all that. And then with just 2 minutes after, it's an hour-long talk, 58 minutes into it, this guy, he says, they're all inspired, they're all on a high, and it's like, and I'll have you know, it was just 6 years ago that I woke up at 4 a.m. in a pool of my own vomit with a needle sticking out of my arm, and look where I am today. And I was like, oh, wow, amazing, wow, right? Mm-hmm. So can you imagine 15 minutes later, the couple, they're driving home, and they're on the way home, and imagine one of them says to the other, hey, listen, honey, pull over to the side of the road. I see the little bodega, I see the little corner store over there. Let me go grab a couple bottles of vodka and a pack of smokes, so we can get the little 7-year-old Timmy at home, so that one day he can be an inspirational speaker. No parents are going to do that, right? Why? Because, yeah, you're right, he could be the one in a million, but we got enough struggles and things we got to go through in life. No need to try to, no need to add to that. Yeah, if we find ourselves in such a situation that we can turn ourselves around and be that amazing or inspirational speaker, that's amazing. And we all have something that we could do that on already. That's true. It's called our tikkun. It's called in Kabbalah, they call this the thing that we're here to perfect in the world. Fix and perfect in the world, right? Tafkir tikkun. But no need to make the difficulties and the struggles and the challenges more overwhelming than they already are. All right? So, what else we got here, my friends? Go ahead. As long as you keep it extremely basic and non...
Yeah, but I don't understand why everyone's so crazy about Mashiach. I mean, he's just never coming. When is this dude gonna show up?
When I say something, so it's really your show. So
Depends as if it's quick. If not, they're gonna get bored of just looking at me.
Well, no. So nice.
Go ahead, let's hear.
Holocaust survivor, he actually.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm camera side.
Okay. Go on. Yeah, let's go.
Okay, so there was this Holocaust survivor who actually passed away pretty recently. I forgot his name. Shalom Mark, that's his name. And he went through the camps. He went through Auschwitz. He went through everything when he was 9 years old. And he survived. And he was the happiest person I've ever met in my life. And anybody came to his house for Shabbat, he would call him over. Look at my numbers. Do you know what this is? And we talk about it. And so I asked him. I said, how could you still believe the Mashiach coming? Because while everyone was in the Holocaust, everyone was sure, you know what, like whatever, as soon as this is going to end, Mashiach's going to come. And the Holocaust ended, and Mashiach didn't come. And he gets out alive, thank God, but his family's not there. And then there's all the wars with Israel and, the world and whatever, and Mashiach is still not here. He gets married, and his first wife dies. And he's having a lot of struggles. And then at this point in his life, when I know him, he has kidney failure, and he's going for the phrase, one of Maimonides' 13 principles of faith is Ani Ma'amin B'Emunah Shema, that I believe that with my full heart and faith that Mashiach will come. And even though it's being delayed, it's still going to come. Meaning, he goes, okay, it's just delayed. And I feel like that's we know that already because people who know this phrase and a song and whatever, but it's another thing to actually hear it from a survivor who's happy and living it. So the belief that we really as Jewish people have to have is just that it's going to be delayed. I mean, it's just that it's delayed. That's what it is, but it's still going to come.
Okay, very good.
I mean, please, Rabbi.
I was just asking, why is everyone so crazy about Mashiach? And it's enough. He's never coming. There's no sign of it.
No sign of him is a tough. No sign of him is a tough one. No sign of him is a tough one. This is this is something that it's a bigger question, really. What you're asking a question is on really the authenticity of the entire Jewish story. So, if there's truth to this, so then there's truth to it, and that's part of the entire Jewish system. But certainly, it would seem that we are moving. It seems that we're moving in that direction. But and there have been times, perhaps you can say that before. I actually know a story, Nechama, of a guy who in certain ways the opposite. That there was a guy in the Holocaust, who he managed to survive because he was thinking the exact same thing. He was like, all right, I just got to hold on. After this, Mashiach's for sure here. The guy hold on. And then he hears either the Russians or the British or something like this. And then I think he and that was it. And I think he died right then on the spot. You hear the Russians coming, and it's like, it's the Russians? Died. Right? So, I think that person died. No. Maybe it's the Americans. I don't know. The point is, it wasn't Mashiach, right? Or at least it wasn't the Mashiach, yeah. So anyway, the idea, right there. The idea is that, so that's the concept. In terms of Mashiach, we see that. Look, we're here. Where are we sitting right now? The fact that we're sitting here is already a massive move that our grandparents and certainly great-grandparents didn't even dream of, right? So the fact that the land of Israel is turning green now, which is an interesting, which hasn't been for the last 2,000 years, even though everybody wants it, because the land of Israel is in between the eastern and the western world, and it's strategic for trade and all of that. Everybody wants to be here, and no one was able to turn it green, and the Jews managed to turn this place green. Matter of fact, they call it the Green Line because they took satellite pictures from above, and like where the brown ended and the green began, that was the Jews. It was the brown, it was not the Jews. So this is something that's laid out already in the Torah. Matter of fact, the Talmud itself says that get ready for Mashiach when the land starts to turn green, because then the Torah itself lays out an interdependency between the land of Israel and the people of Israel. That when the people of Israel are here, so then they can make it turn land green. But when they leave, the land's going to turn desolate. So we definitely see. Say again?
It's God that gave us the blessing that when they're here, it's going to be green.
Yeah. So the point is, though, there's a certain recognition of the fact that we are here. Now, in the Talmud, it actually says that when the land starts to turn green, there's no sure sign of us moving forward towards the quote-unquote end of this stage of the world history than when the land of Israel starts to turn green again. It says in the Talmud, in the Talmud tractate Sanhedrin, last chapter, is it maybe? I forget, or 7th chapter, I forget. No, 7th chapter is something else. I think it's in the last chapter, but I don't remember exactly. Yeah, Hala. Yeah, go ahead. You have to raise your hand here.
It's like there's a lot of.
This isn't the marijuana question now, is it?
No.
Okay, good.
There's a lot of like scriptures in like halacha, like to do with Shemitah. And Ola.
Yeah.
Is there room in Judaism for like green thoughts, as in like conservation, like conserving the planet?
Listen, all of those things are cool. We just have to make sure not to make a separate religion out of it.
Right.
If you understand what I'm saying. Like, it could be, you could squeeze it in, but let's not make it the main thing and everything else the details. So we can include certain things and whatever, but you start thinking that you're like more moral than God because you're making it the main thing, and then already that not that there's anything wrong with it, but if a person starts to do that, so usually it could easily lead to like a slippery slope of thinking that that you make yourself you make yourself God.
There's an attitude there which is different from like the Western attitude, which is like really use things to its limits, and like it's like aware of like the land needs to like regenerate, and you need to leave.
Yeah, but we have that in the Jewish feudal system. The Jewish is feudal. I don't know if feudal is right. Feudal, not feudal. What would they call like the rotating the lands and stuff like this?
Agricultural.
Letting the land design.
They were used to different times, at different periods. They would let it like once every 3 years, once every 6 or 7 years. Anyway, that's not the point. The point, according to Judaism, is that this is a holy thing, the holy land, and this is something you do for the holy land. It's the Shabbat for the land. But anyway, the point is that this is something that, so if this works out better, it's a bonus, right? The fact that let's use Avelit for example, the laws of mourning, So they came out not so long ago psychologically. There's certain psychological studies that like the healthiest time to mourn and whatever is like 7 days, and then to reintegrate back into society and stuff like that. And like, okay, we don't do it because it's the psychologically best whatever. Right? If it works the fact that it works psychologically best is perhaps an outgrowth of the fact that we say that this is what you're supposed to do, or you could just say it's a bonus. It's like when you learn the Torah, right? You learn the Torah, you learn a lot of stories, right? You hear like the Jewish people living in Egypt and all this, okay? But the point of the story, the whole point of the Torah isn't that you should learn Jewish history, right? The point of the Torah and all of those stories, also the stories, is to learn certain messages and certain ideas for your life in order to apply it, right? So you do get Jewish history out of the deal, but that's a bonus. That's not. I don't believe that that's the main thing. The word Torah means from the word Mora, which is teacher. Torah is teachings for life. So if that's the case, then what the point of the book, the goal of the book, is supposed to be is basically essentially the original spiritual self-help book. Here, based on you, the reality of you as a soul. Here's how to go ahead and live that out to its max, and be a vehicle for the expression of godliness even here in a world that knows God not. So this is the, so that's the goal. Oh, you picked up some Jewish history along the way? Okay, great. That's not the goal. So the same thing here, Okay, here's the Jewish system because of whatever the reasons are, a certain holiness of the land, and Shemitah, a sabbatical year of the land, and all that stuff. And, it happens to work out to replenish and rejuvenate and add nutrients and whatever else.
That's a benefit.
That would be like a fringe benefit, I think, yeah. Right, because we have to be very careful before we start attributing physical reasons for the spiritual principles of Judaism. And everything in the Torah is really, even though it sounds physical, it's really for spiritual principles, right? And so when we hear physical things, so there's physical benefits to certain Jewish practices. Okay, great. It's not. I can name you many things like that. I can name you certain things that might work the opposite. That might be like, okay, this spiritual thing that Judaism says to do, but health-wise, maybe this thing might be a little bit different. Okay, so again, it's not about spiritual. Like, a lot of times people start to think that this is that we're doing things for physical reasons, and they start to attribute physical reasons to those things, and they say, oh well, now since back in the desert they said blah 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 because of some physical thing. Back then, murder, they needed everybody. Now, okay, whatever. I don't know. People say things like that. That's an extreme example, but people do say that, and people do say other things. People say other things about other, kosher and whatever. People give like it's about health. Kosher has nothing to do with about health. Talking about the kosher rules, the Kli Yakar says that people think that, even back then they were saying it, the Kli Yakar said, people think that the kosher rules are for health reasons.
No,
but that's what the Kli Yakar says. The Kli Yakar says that people think the kosher rules are for health things, right? Well, he says, we see that that's not really the case. Look around us. You see, all the our non-Jewish neighbors are eating all sorts of rats and rodents and whatever. This is the 1500s, not an insult. This is the 1500s. It wasn't meant to be an insult. This is the casual schools or whatever, whatever it is. And many times they're more physically strong than we are. It's not spiritual health. That's the point. That's my point, right? That's my point. Is that it's not about physical. It's not about physical benefits. The point is that that the Torah is kula. It's really about where we're at spiritually, right? And so just like you can physically, if you eat the wrong things or whatever, you have your person's arteries get clogged up, God forbid, right? And the blood isn't flowing the way it's supposed to. So the same thing spiritually. If we eat the wrong thing, so spiritually our arteries, we become less spiritually sensitive and spiritually attuned. That's what he's saying, actually. And go for it. Crack it open. That was a question. Oh, okay. I thought you wanted the wine.
No.
Okay, go ahead.
So you were learning about angels. So are angels
Angels.
around in the house?
Depends if you drive them out or not, you know. And they're here. Every time you make a mitzvah, you have an angel. But that's right.
We were learning about good and bad angels, and like the more you do, like the more good angels that surround you.
Right, I know what you mean by good and bad, but angels are going to scare too many people away, though. We talk about angels, but I mean, there's what's an angel? Is a shliach, right? What is a shliach? You know, messenger. Okay, so everything's here to do it. Even meaning to say, a lot of times we'll say that even we call the angel that's out to trip you up, right? Is really, he's also just doing exactly what he's supposed to be doing.
Like minions.
Minions now.
Is there a concept of both good and bad angels?
So that's the thing. I mean,
Or is it all a matter of perspective?
what does it mean? What does she mean a bad angel? What it means is a prosecuting angel. Meaning to say, what is it? A person does something, everyone does something that creates what you create. I want to use, you know what, I want to move away from just, I want to try to explain this concept that she's talking about, but without using the word angel. Because as soon as people get here, angel, they start floating away. So I'm just going to use different words, right? No. I'm going to say that you're the effect, like, what you do.
Oh my gosh, good job, Gabby.
So what you do has,
Wow.
what you do has effects, correct? What you do has real world effects for yourself. You are the sum total of your actions. Are you really the sum total of your actions? No, you are your soul. That's independent of your actions. But who you are in terms of relationship with God, in terms of relationship with yourself and everybody else, is essentially the sum total of your actions and what you did with the potential that you had. Right? So every time you do something positive or negative, there is the consequences of that. And in a world in which everything is revealed and everything's experienced, not this world, in a world where everything's revealed and everything's experienced, in a realm like that, you're gonna have a side of yourself that's advocating for you, and a side of yourself that's prosecuting you. Okay, so good angel, bad angel.
So you're conscious.
Okay, yeah, fine. So anyway, is there a concept of angel? Absolutely, but people are gonna really think it's already too kooky to talk about. So a lot of people might think that. So I don't want to use those terminologies because what's important here anyway is the experience, right? Is the experience.
But there's a concept like in Christianity that you have like angels that are away from God and they go against God and stuff.
Okay, good. That's a conversation for another time. There's whatever. There is a conversation to have about that. Yeah, what do you want to say?
I want to ask about dreams.
Okay.
So like,
About what?
dreams. Like, is there a significance to like what you do?
We're going to keep it simple here. Question about dreams. Okay. So when a person sleeps, what happens? There's an idea in Judaism, the soul goes up, and then the soul goes up, but a certain level of the soul still stays connected to the body to keep it alive. It's called okay. So
The 160th or something.
okay, yeah, 1/6. Well, something like that. Okay. So there's a little bit of the soul that stays attached to the body, whatever that means. It's keeping it going. Okay, so that means that if you have a dream, is it have to do with what's going on upstairs, or does it have to do with what's going on downstairs? Right? So that's exactly the question. So you have dreams that we'll call, for the purpose of this conversation, real dreams and fake dreams. They're both dreams, and they really had both of them. But essentially, if you're thinking about something during the day, and then, lo and behold, you have a dream about it at night, good chance is that has something to do with the day, right? Oh, shalom.
I brought our fashion jewelry, guys.
Yay!
Okay, cool.
Sherry and Stephanie.
I know these people.
Okay.
Okay. So that's the idea. Yeah, go ahead. What did you?
I just had a question, but I'm going to change the topic.
Change the topic. Wait, hold on. Follow up on that. So that's the idea of dreams, right? And this, by the way, is why in the morning, the first thing we say in the morning, according to Judaism, is something called Moda'ani. Moda'ani, we thank God for returning our soul into the body, right? Okay? And that's why also a person washes their hands in the morning because the person was somewhat there. Okay, that's a very separate conversation. What is Tumah?
What if it wasn't something you were thinking of throughout the day, and it was completely?
So it's possible. Is it
something that it's something that you need to kind of step back and think about in yourself?
It's possible. It's possible. And sometimes you can have a feeling what it means, despite the fact that you see one thing, but you feel like it means something. It could be that it means that thing, even though you don't understand how the picture you're seeing means that thing, right? Mm-hmm. And anyway, the important thing with dreams is that just like it's done kind of in no man's land, meaning to say it's kind of between the spiritual and the physical, so that means that it's not happened in the physical yet, and so you could bring it down in a sweet way. And that's why it's important to interpret dreams in a positive manner, because you could have a hand in turning it to the good, right?
You can make a dream come to life.
In a certain respect, you can, because it didn't happen yet. So there is a concept that sometimes you can do that. It's like, for example, a girl once told me that in her dream she was being chased. So it's okay, good. So you should know that since you're progressing Jewishly and you're moving forward, so that's your Yetzer Hara is chasing you, and he's going to chase you, but you're going to get away from him. You can interpret things in a new way. Right? If a person, God forbid, dies in a dream or something like this, also there's an idea in Jewish spirituality that in order to get to a higher level, it involves killing off the previous level. Right? Just like when a person lifts weights, what are they doing? They're ripping up their muscles, then it comes back new, stronger. Right? When a plant wants to grow a seed to turn into sprouting, first the seed needs to rot in order to get the next level of existence. The previous level of existence changes. So a person sees the dying in the dream. Good. So you're getting to another existence, right? Like a butterfly, exactly. One's butterfly. So no. It helps if you're listening the first time I say it, John. Okay, good. You'll watch the recording on Facebook Live. Okay, go ahead, you're on.
Can I just go very basic? So we're talking about Kabbalistic or Jewish dreams, angels. Are these things written down specifically, or are they interpretations?
Yeah.
Where are we getting...
Let me give you like a source sheet afterwards. Is that what we're doing? Good. We could do that.
So a lot of the rules we follow, they're specifically written down. We don't ask. Well, some people ask why, but this is what you do because God has the Torah and things are in.
All right.
But I've never heard dreams or angels mentioned in my Jewish life. So I'm just curious where it's kind of.
I mean, for example, I think I just mentioned. About pretty much. It's in the Torah. You have a concept of angels in the Torah for sure. Straight up, 5 books of Moses. You have a concept of Joseph interpreting dreams in the Torah.
And it became true after.
Right. So, yeah.
But it's not really specifically laid out. It's more for personal interpretation.
In terms of how to interpret dreams. So interesting.
We know.
Right. Yeah.
More like.
Dreams move.
Yeah.
So there is in the last chapter of the Talmud section of Brachot. So there actually is a whole chapter. If you see this in a dream, it means that. If you see that in a dream, it means this. There is such an idea. Definitely don't get too crazy with all of it, but there is such an idea. But again, if it comes from you, the dream's not a dream. Forget about interpreting it. It's a dream technically by the definition of what a dream is, but it doesn't mean anything for sure. Right? It came from you. It came from the body. It came from your conscious. It came from your subconscious. It came from your experiences here. So if that's the place that it drew from, so then all the other stuff goes out the window, right? And also, so it means you see this, it means a sign that wealth is on the way. So you sit there, before you go to sleep, I'm going to dream about this, I'm going to dream about this, No, it doesn't work that way. You understand what I'm saying? But so if you want to see that, feel free to check out the maybe he has it where you're staying, I don't know. But the last chapter of the Talmud section called Brachot.
Your works cited page somewhere.
Or you can just Google it. Or Google it in this case. Okay. I'm just joking. Don't Google it. Look in the book. The book's better than the movie. And you can get it in English also.
That's cool.
Yeah. What else we got here? Shifra, your turn.
Okay. Could you explain the whole Kabbalistic aspect of Jewish God?
No. I mean, I could. I could, but if Tuba Shvat was tomorrow, I would do it. If not, I don't want to bore people. I'll tell you what you could do, though. You're welcome to go onto my Facebook page and scroll down to the class that I did on Tuba Shvat, and you can watch it. It was good. It was fun. I was in Netanya. The weather was beautiful. Last week, 2 weeks ago, whatever.
Yeah, it was a class.
Yeah, whatever it was. In Netanya. I was a group. Not people from here. There was a group in Netanya I spoke to. That'll be dedicated, man. That'll be dedication. All right, who we at? What's up? How we doing?
So I heard this concept of like, I guess it's a Kabbalistic concept of like, if you like the letters of your Hebrew name,
Yeah.
it can kind of like describe your like your
Your
like your like who you are, like based on the letters.
Yeah.
It's true, and like how do I find them?
So let's do a little bit of background about this. Let's do a little background about this. Let's understand why this might be so, right? Because there's a basic principle which you probably have heard before, which is that one of the ways we talk about God creating the world is through speech, right? God said, "Let there be light," and there was light, right? So it means to say that there is a power, and this is, by the way, also the concept of the holy language, it's the language of creation. There's a power in the concept of speech, that speech creates realities. And matter of fact, how do you say to speak in Hebrew? The daber. How do you say a thing in Hebrew? Davar. It's the same word, right there, same root. And so, therefore, that means then that if we're talking about your name, your Jewish name, that's going to have impact, right? It's going to have impact. And so that's the idea. The word name in Hebrew is shem, which is related to the Hebrew word sham, because in the name is the sham means there. So the name is the there of the thing. And the name is the purpose, the goal, the destiny, what it's really here for, what it's really all about. So there's an idea that there's stuff, there's names have influence in your life, right? By the way, also, if you're named after certain people, Adam. It's called Shemot B'nai Adam, names of people. Very exciting. Afterwards, if you want, we can go through it, and then we can find out what you're really about. Okay.
What's the point of the psukim?
The psukim, there's an idea. Okay, also at the end of the main prayer, Shemona Esrei, the Shlach Kadosh, one of the main Kabbalists a few hundred years ago, so he explains that there's an idea to instill that you should remember your name. When your person goes upstairs, you should remember that they should remember their name. They're going to be so in awe that they're going to ask them their name, the person's going to forget his name. So this is one of the ways that they say they're going to remember your name. Then. Well, yeah, either that or just say your name or read a pasuk that your name. Yeah. Say again?
After the pasuk,
Before, I think before that. Yeah. Okay. What else we got here? Cool. All right, go ahead. Might be last one. Go ahead.
Okay, so why do people still try to say the future when you learn that you're not supposed to know the future and ask questions about that?
I'll tell you tomorrow. Okay. No, I don't know about that one. I'm not sure. I don't know. Don't know. Do people do that? I guess people do that. I don't know. Do people do that? Well, I didn't know the first half. Let's see what the second half is going to be.
No, I just like we were learning like how like basically like Jews like shouldn't like as a Jewish person we shouldn't read the stars. Like there's the ability to read the stars, but like as a Jewish person we shouldn't hold by that, and we have we have the ability to like change our like model.
Right.
But then I find that I've seen or heard of like these Kabbalistic rabbis or whatever that are like reading people.
So look, I don't know what anyone's doing. I could comment though on the thing that you mentioned, and that's basically my answer would be what you said, which is that the idea is that yes, there is an ability to read the stars and all of that kind of thing, but yeah, we don't get stuck in that stuff, or also your constellations and all those things. But we don't get stuck in that stuff because the idea is that we're, like we said before, spiritual, which means that if we live in a spiritual way, we live above our natural. We go beyond whatever. See, people think we think about like astronomy or astrology or whatever is like, oh, that's spiritual, you know. If you look at the classic Jewish texts, even as not so long ago, even you see that they refer to that as like part of the physical world or like the roots of the physical world, but not spirituality. Like it's below that. So we have the ability with that. We make a higher choice. We override if we override like some desire or something to go do something negative, and we do something positive instead. So like that's way beyond whatever is going to be in there. So we have the capacity to change that quote unquote destiny. So the point is, don't get too stuck in that astrology stuff or astronomy stuff rather, because this is the source of it. Yes, this is the source of it, because we can go ahead and we can override the program and rewrite. Cool. So, my friends, we're going to call it there. Facebook Live, we'll see you soon. And what's it called? If anyone has any more questions, feel free. I'm glad we got to do a Q&A for a change. I hope people enjoyed. Yeah. Nice to see the newbies. Matan, I hope you're okay. I hope we didn't scare you. And anyway.
Nice. It was really nice.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah.
It was awesome. Thank you. Thank you for coming. And if anyone wants to talk more now, we can do that.